everything might not be fun.
The politicians keep saying, why is our healthcare system so expensive? And like, duh.
How does that make any sense?
We'll figure it out. This is the thing, I'm just getting totally unhinged now, and I don't know what to do.
Hi, we're back in Patapsco Park. We've been off for a little bit, but I just wanted to talk to you a little bit. I gotta get off this path in case people come by. Talk to you a little bit about one of the things we've mentioned a lot before, which is the idea that a treatment is helping you, but it actually has done nothing for you. It's one of those great ironies of medicine that a lot of people think when they've been cured by some medical intervention, actually they would have been better off left alone. And I'll give you a few examples that we've talked about already. One is a doctor looks at your heart just to check it out, you're feeling fine, and finds you have a 90% blockage in one of your arteries. Does a test, one test leads to another, 90% blockage. Doctor says, it's a good thing we did those tests. We got this just to the nick of time, puts in a stent, and your life is saved. The first guy we talked about in this podcast, this is what happened to. Your life is saved. And we know from reality that actually if you had left that 90% thing there, if you're just on medicines for heart disease, if you're exercising, eating well, then this stent does nothing for you. In fact, the stent causes you to have more problems than if the doctor had just left you alone. But God forbid I tell one of my patients that, who had one of these stents, they are sure their life was saved just in the nick of time. Another thing I'm doing research on now is chest x-rays. So I have some patients who actually, for whatever reason, got a chest x-ray and they found a nodule. The nodule was found to be cancerous. The cancer was removed and their life was saved. Glory, hallelujah. Thank God for the doctor who did that chest x-ray. But the reality is much different than that. The thing is, in terms of lung cancer, about 20% of lung cancers that are in people's bodies will not kill the people. A lot of people don't know that. Many cancers we find are inert. They don't kill anybody. That's true in lung cancer, about 20%. So, if you find a nodule on a chest x-ray, and it's cancer, there's a 20% chance that cancer would not have killed you no matter what. And those are the cancers that are removed unnecessarily and the patient is saved. What about the other 80%? Well, it turns out that if a cancer is found on a chest x-ray, it's already spread, it's already too late. Everybody knows this. Even the American Radiology Association, which loves every x-ray in the world, admits that screening a patient with an x-ray, even if they're a smoker, a heavy smoker, is useless because even if you find the cancer and treat it, it will not make you live a day longer. Either the cancer's never going to kill you, 20%, or is definitely going to kill you, 80%. But finding it on the x-ray didn't make a difference. Still, don't tell those 20% that their life wasn't saved miraculously by this x-ray. They will never believe you. And what about prostate cancer? I heard of someone recently who, people were arguing the PSA blood test, which picks up prostate cancer, saved his life because they found the prostate cancer that was picked up and cured. We've talked about prostate cancer. A lot of people have prostate cancer. No women, but a lot of men do. About a quarter of men, maybe even higher, die with prostate cancer in their body. Prostate cancer is one of the most inert cancers in the world. It's felt that if you find a prostate cancer, there's a 99% chance that prostate cancer is not going to kill you. Therefore, this brilliant guy, and apparently he was brilliant in every way, who had the PSA blood test that found the prostate cancer, that got removed, treated with radiation, he lost all his bladder function, became impotent, but his life was saved by this test. This guy's life wasn't saved. That cancer would have just sat there harmlessly in his body. What about the 1% of cancers you do find that would have killed you? Turns out in most cases, they still kill you, even if you find them early. Again, PSA has never been shown to save lives. We do it over and over. It's a multi-million-dollar, billion-dollar industry for urologists, but it doesn't save lives. So these are just a few cases of people who see me all the time whose life was saved by that thorough doctor who did that thorough test. And really, all they were subjected to were medical interventions that caused more harm than good. that actually could have hurt them more than helped them. This is true with a lot of medical care. And when you go to your doctor and they offer you a lot of tests and the test shows something positive, you have to wonder if the treatment for that condition is really necessary. And if it's not, why we do the test. A good example is heart valves. I have a lot of patients who have murmurs and they know they have problems with their mitral valve or aortic heart valve. They have a little narrowing or a little leaking, so the cardiologist does the test over and over again year after year. But we know that until the patient has symptoms, that fixing that valve does not make people live a day longer or be a bit healthier. So why are they doing that test year after year? Well, I know why. They own the machine and they're making a lot of money from the test. And the patient feels like they're being thorough. But given that the result of that test is not going to change treatment, and the only time they should be doing the test is if the patient has symptoms, i.e. they're more short of breath all of a sudden, so yeah, let's see if your valve has gotten worse, and maybe then we'll do something about it. Only then should they get the test. And even only then should they get the test if the patient wants to do something about it. The patient says, I want to get surgery if there's a problem. The patient says, as is the case with a lot of my patients, under no circumstances am I going to get surgery, then why are we doing the test at all? I don't know why. But those tests are done that cost the system a lot of money. Stress tests we've talked about. They don't tell you anything useful. They're useless. So, but so many of my patients' lives were saved because they got a stress test that found a blockage that led to a stent. The truth of the matter is, had they never gotten the stress test, they would be just fine. They were already on the right medicines most of the time. So they would have been just fine. So why'd they get the test? Who knows? But I want to bring this up because this is a huge driver of our healthcare costs, but also of disability. All those tests I talked about. Prostate test that leads to surgery. Lung cancer test that leads to surgery, radiation, chemotherapy. The stenting, which leads to strokes and other complications. These tests are not without their problems. They cost a ton of money. They enrich a lot of people. But you as the patient, you get harmed by these tests. Your life wasn't saved. You got spit on by the medical system, by a bunch of arrogant doctors who pretended they were helping you. So I wanted to talk, this is a theme throughout this whole podcast. So we're going to talk a little about more of this. And I got a couple other new topics I want to discuss, including a specialty of my field in geriatrics of family members who insist on doing everything for their parents and what the reality of geriatrics really is. They think they're advocating for their parents, but very often they're doing just the opposite. So anyway, back to the run. Take care. Hey, I hope you like the podcast. We'll be back next week. I'm going to give you some information. If you want to check the website, if you want to email me, if you got your own stories, let's talk about it. See you next week.